Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2. And today I'm going to be giving you part 13 of What If Naruto Had the Rarest Bloodline. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual. Share this to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto failed his genuine test and was given intense training, and enjoy that guys over on Anime King. And stay tuned for a brand new episode coming over Anime King 3 tonight. Yes, if you're new, you heard that correctly. I have 3 channels: Anime King 2, and Anime King 3, which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So stay in tune, as I said, enjoy each and every one of them, guys. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last time we left off, Minato's mind was still whirling about the events that took place as he was in front of the Hokage. Fukaku was blaming everything on him. He was supposed to be the team leader, and yet he screwed up so badly. As Fukaku told Hiruzen if he was the one in charge, none of this would have happened. As Hiruzen asked Minato what he had to say for himself, as he took all responsibility. Minato didn't like this at all, as she tried to intervene, but Minato told her no, as he took everything on himself. Hiruzen demoted him back to Chunin, and he was going to send him out towards the borders of the Lightning Country for a year without pay, until he can boost his rank back up. That was a bit, well, harsh, Minato asks. But Hiruzen simply looked at her and told her she was lucky that he took all the responsibility, or all of them would have been punished severely. As it was a simple mission, but yet they were pronounced an elite of the elite groups. Yet they were pronounced by the ghost ninjas. And Minato, who has been trained his entire life for this very moment, got beaten so badly. As he went outside, Minato told him that she would send letters every now and then, as she wanted him to stay safe out there. As she saw that smile came back on his face when she hugged him. And with that he made his way. Minato was really hoping that he was being tricked by the ghost, because he couldn't shudder to think what he would do to Konoha if this was real. With that he made his way as he gave the letter to the commander, as the letter had come from Hiruzen to make the boy, well, go through hell. But this place was already hell, as the man told Minato to get ready to move out, as Minato prayed in his mind that the ghost was tricking him. Dark, very dark thoughts came to his mind. If this was reality, if Sakuma was really his father, and Jiraiya had lied to him about it. Yes, the thoughts were dark. Meanwhile, as Naruto's moved around Kushina's house, she had moved out after she became tuning with her friends. As she and her friend had gotten an apartment, her ex-girlfriend, yes. As Naruto remembered the day when the two of them came to them, she and Sawaki, and tell them that they were dating. But they didn't really matter about that, as long as she was happy. Although Naruto spoke to her girlfriend and she got a bit scared, but still they were dating. 8 months they went out for. But Kushina broke up with her, as they stayed good friends afterward though. It's that she didn't want to lead her on because she still had feelings for him, yes. Despite being the girl, she never really liked other guys romantically, but she had feelings for him and she just couldn't sort that out. It was just so complicated. Time passed after that as Naruto made his way towards the sand, as one of the oil mines had been attacked by clay, as it was a bomb unit from the Hidden Stone, as Oniki had sent his forces to attack, it seems. It was the same thing like what happened in Kakazu. Threat of being placed in jail like the person did something wrong. Naruto didn't really know, but they were going to retaliate against the Hidden Stone. Yes, they were. Meanwhile, Sawaki felt awfully down, as nothing was wrong with either of them, but her clan was hard to reproduce, and she felt down that she couldn't give him a child. But she spoke to doctors about other ways. That is why when she saw him, she wanted to speak to him immediately, as she wanted to talk more about the possibilities that she heard from the doctor. So yeah guys, so basically that's what I thought. You guys can switch across and please and check out for yourself so they say begin this new episode. At the hidden trail, Minato clenched his fingers and unclenched them under the tarp that he was under, as he watched a sweeping team check for traps and replace them. Other Konoha ninjas were also around in line, preparing themselves for the attack. The only reason they weren't freezing to death was because of the glitch he didn't see that Minato had drawn on their camouflage blanket. But that was not protecting them from the ice that was melting and dropping on them. Another blizzard was rolling through chill as Minato looked down towards a small pad and pen as he started to write to the last person on the planet that he trusted. Dear Minato, this should be my 30th letter to you, I think. It's only been 5 months and I feel like I've gone mad. I haven't sent any of the other letters anyway, but for some reason I expect a reply back. Writing to you even though I know you won't see these letters is the only way that I can stay sane in all of this madness. I just don't know who to turn to anymore. Commander Jishao almost caught me sneaking back into my sleeping bag yesterday. The clone I left ran out of chakra in this spell the same time I came in. This damn snow is messing with my chakra. I can't feel my fingers. It turns out the seal tagging wave still works. I got there. And the fighting is even worse, if that is even possible. I broke into the private library of some fat piece of human waste. I don't even know why I'm insulting him. He ran away, or he's dead. The snow is messing with my head. Sorry, I'm rambling. He flexed his fingers and cycled chakra back into them to get feeling back into his numb limbs. His place was trashed, looted. Clothes were burned. I was able to find his office. Remember my last letter, when I said I snuck into the grass daimyo palace and stole a bunch of history books? Well, I was looking through the fat slop collection, and most of the books he had said the same thing about Naruto. The same as a grass daimyo, orphan, had to fend for himself and his friends, became the ghost because of necessity, so that his name can scare away people from hurting his friends. There is no way in hell Naruto's able to manipulate the grass daimyo and that fat piece of slub. Why am I insulting him again? He shook his head. He dropped his pen and rubbed his eyes. Naruto has killed so many people. I feel like he doesn't even care how much blood he has on his hands. One thing all those books agree on is that he killed, and he will continue to kill, as long as he can protect the people he cares about. I have found out so much these past 5 months, Minato. I've answered so many questions. Konoha manipulated the last daimyo of darkness and exodized the entire country. They took so much from darkness: trees, obsidian, crops, silver, people. The people of darkness fight for their country, but it was a losing battle. Konoha rape, enslaved, they stole and they cripple. People, whole families ran away from their home because of what Konoha started. The second war wasn't even troubling Dark Country. But then Konoha came and they demanded for everything. And the weak-kneed daimyo gave them everything. I read in at least 8 separate books that it was Konoha. It was because of Konoha. Why? Sawaki is the only remaining member of the Seitomi clan. Her whole family gone. Just like that. They look like nice people. I don't even want to talk about the Kurama clan. The civil war would have continued until Naruto and Sawaki came in. Minato, I want to tell you something. As his hands shake a bit, promise me you won't tell anyone else, okay? As his vision started to blur, get a grip, he thought to himself. Promise. I'm finding it harder and harder to think that Konoha was ever in the right. Maybe, just maybe, Jiraiya lied to me. As, before the commander could even give off a signal, Minato got up. Cries of agony could be heard. Meanwhile, somewhere near the land of snow, Jiraiya shivered as a chain of explosions went off. Orochimaru looked at him with a raised eyebrow, Tsunade as well. Was it a bad omen? He thought to himself. What was that? Tsunade asked. Someone must be thinking about me, Jiraiya said. Come on, let's continue, he said. Time skip. Naruto dragged his wife into the assigned bedroom given to them by the Kazekage in the manor. As he looked at her. What's happening? Where's the fire? He said, as she grabbed his hand. You know that I've been visiting my family's archives, she said. Yes. I found something in there one of my ancestors wrote. She said that members of my family, pure-blooded, Seitomi, that is, like herself, could bear only one child every 60 years, on average. She did that experiment centuries ago, and found this out. Naruto raised the eyebrow. Isn't it a good thing? I don't want to wait that long before we have a child, she said. I am not going anywhere, Sue, said Naruto. What's the rush? She faltered for a bit before she looked up. Sensei, I want children, even if they're not my children. By blood. Children run around the house, making them breakfast and getting them ready for school. Patching up their bruises, even if I'm unable to have children for you. I want to raise your children. Sawaki, said Naruto. No, it's fine. I've already accepted this option a long time ago. Until I can give you a child myself. So, adoption? Said Naruto. As he guessed that was where she was going. The children in the orphanage already see you as your father. Adopting one won't make much of a difference, she said. As Naruto visited the orphanage a lot of times, and whenever she went with him, the feeling, that motherly instinct inside of her, always, just bloomed. I'm talking about something else. From what Naruto remembers, Sawaki's mother was a very loving woman. Whether it was her own daughter, or him, or Naruto, anyone else, she was always so loving and kind. She had plenty of love to give. That kind of love was passed on to her daughter. But when she was younger, it was hidden under cold indifference, but now it was breaking out. A lot of it. You have to tell me what you're talking about. Unless I'll misunderstand. And you know I probably will, he said. Sensei, I'm fine with you having children with another woman, she said. Naruto jerked back with shock as he wiggled his pinky finger in his ear. Sorry. What did you just say? He said. She huffed. I said I'm okay with you sleeping with another woman, but only someone that we really trust. And as long as I can be with you too, sometimes, she said. I always want to be in a threesome. It's always been on my bucket list. Think of this as killing two birds with one stone. You get to nail two women, and I get to nail a woman, she said. Win-win. Or do you? I do, said Naruto, as he saw a smile came on her lips. He thought he knew the extent how far she would take their sex life. Pet play, master sleep role play, or extreme exhibitionist. He thought that was the limit, but he was wrong. As he was seeing her in a much new, cooler light now, he cleared his throat. What did you have in mind? She stood up on her toes, so close to his face. We'll talk about that later. As she pushed him on the bed and hopped right on him. They didn't leave the room until a couple hours later. Time skip. At the Kazekage's office, I'm going to exploit a common fear as Naruto sat back in his chair. And that is? A Jinjulti going berserk. Ah, that's a good idea. It will be hard to link the berserk beast holder to any specific village. That's why I chose it, said Raza, as he felt proud of himself. Whatever, like I said before, leave the cover up to my ninjas and I. Give us a dead body, and we'll make it look like a suicide, he said. What if the body has been dead for 5 years, and the person died of food poison, asked Raza. Oh, that's even better, said Naruto. It's much easier than you think. And I take it, you're not willing to teach my village to Raza. Nope, said Naruto with a grin. Raza grunted, as he laid out his plan to his friend. As Sawaki was right beside Naruto, writing down points. As the Kazekage had a woman, a San Council member, named Obatachi, and also a prominent jonin that was named Baki. Outside the office, Raza and Naruto guards kept watch. As the seal off any eavesdroppers by nature or normal chakra means. This meant they were warding the place off from Zetsu, known to Naruto and his allies as Plant Man. It was working. Zetsu was annoyed. 2 persons in Naruto guards, Panda and Polar Bear, could sense the nature chakra, but the location couldn't be nailed down. The Plant Man was smart enough not to come close to the barrier, as the 2 members notified their team and they swept their senses around. Naruto smirked as they finished, coming up with the plans. They could cover up. He looked towards Sawaki and shook her head. There wasn't any more holes left to be filled. As he turned to the Kazekage, when do we leave? How quickly can you get your group together? As Naruto pointed towards the door, right now. As Sawaki sent chakra to the tattoo on her upper arm, and 3 BLAK members walk inside. Panda, Phoenix, Dragon, as they bow their head. As Sawaki felt the mark on her arm, as she flicked her eyes towards her leader. Plant Man, she said. In here? Outside. Can you get him? Said Raza, slowly. As Raza could not sense a nature injury that was trying to break inside. Only if he touches seals. He's like a stubborn mosquito, said Naruto. Permit me to try something, said Naruto. Is it gonna destroy my village? Raza said. Naruto laughed. Oh, don't worry, old friend. Nothing too bad is gonna happen. As he cracked the door open, so, you say that you're ready to go on the mission now, right? Yes, said Rasa, playing along. Alright then, let's go. 10 minutes later, a team of 4 sand ninjas plus a Kazakagi, plus 4 BLAK operatives, including Naruto and Sawaki, making it 12, was running on the hot desert sand, as they were focused on their destination, the Hidden Stone. Unlike the rest of the continent, there was no sign of fighting or destruction in the sand. Simply sand. Sand as far as the eye could see. As the sun beat down on them though, Raza could have carried them on a cloud of golden sand, but Naruto declined, saying that they could be spotted. Everyone was silent. Everywhere was silent. As Sawaki waved her hand, the BLAK members spread out, bringing with them their sand counterparts. Naruto clapped his hands together, forming the dragon seal. A single bolt of lightning shot from his head right to the sky. A thick black cloud was created about 2 miles wide. In a few seconds, a jagged storm was created. White electricity and ink green, black ink green. The poison smoke green did not touch the sand or dark ninjas, as it fizzled away from them, fizzling on the sand. As Naruto stopped running, as Rasa and Sawaki moved away from him as well. After all, when the lightning bolt came down and smashed into the nape of his neck, Naruto grit his teeth a bit as a nature energy shot into his body, electrifying his muscle and his organs. White energy seeped into his blue eyes, and veins came from the corner of his eyes going down into his face, as he made sure the black cloud didn't spiral out of control and roll away to the sand several miles away. The black-green lessened under his control. Bright lightning came and struck the ground, turning the sand into glass. As Naruto exhaled, black smoke coming from his mouth. This was much more powerful than when he was 17 years old. Zetsu's eyes widened as he started to flee through the ground, as Naruto muttered towards white noise. The sky groaned painfully as the storm cloud grumbled. Naruto's eyes flicked up as he grinned savagely. Got you. As Naruto's soul burst out of his body, tearing through the sandy ground, leaving a hot glass in his wake as he moved. Shit, Zetsu yelled, running through the ground, fearing that the man giving chase was above his shoulder. This was the fastest Zetsu has ever run in his whole life. No matter where he turned, he could feel it behind him. It was coming. As Naruto's soul raised his hand, sleep paralysis, he said. Zetsu swerved under a giant rock jetting from the ground and tried to escape. As Naruto's lightning spark destroyed it, as he just kept on moving. White Zetsu clones came as he tried to stop the spirit distraction, but Naruto struck them all down. In the end, being fast and the speed of sound wasn't something Zetsu could reach, as he felt something fly past him before something smashed into his face. The blow caved in Zetsu's face, driving electricity deep within his skull. The power in a single blow had his body thrown like a rag doll as he smashed through the sandy glass ground, as his Phoenix fly trap crashed into a single wall of earth. As Naruto raised his hand to the heavens, before he brought his hand down, a vengeful arc of lightning screamed from the heavens. It came down in a flash, as it slammed into Zetsu. Boom! Everything went white. The place was frozen over, but it was glass. As Naruto made his way to the unresponsive Zetsu, as Naruto's body phased into existence once again, as he returned, his soul went back. As he glanced down at Zetsu, green blood was leaking from his face, and the fist imprint was still in it. As Naruto recognized a mostly burned Akatsuki robe on the plant man's body. As Naruto glare and thunder shook the earth, as he held up the hand sign. Remember this, he said. Zetsu coughed up green blood. The nature saturated lightning. It was tearing through his system. As he tried to move, he felt life slipping out of him. I don't need any answer from you, whatever your name is, said Naruto. All I know is Nagato is smart enough not to mess with me. You were following me by yourself and you tried to sabotage my country for your own reason. Please, Zetsu begged for mercy. Naruto hummed with a smile as he pointed his finger down towards the man. Nope. Bang! Zetsu's head burst open. A shot of nature chakra shot straight to his skull. Zetsu stood no chance. And just to make sure, Naruto went through 5 hand signs and jumped out of the glass crater. Fire style. Fireball jutsu, he said. As Naruto blew out a white hot raging flame that completely swallowed Zetsu, the inferno burning hot. As Naruto tried to feel some pinch of emotions. After all, he just killed a person that drive a wedge between him and his very first friend Nagato. That creature was the one that planted the information that thought in Nagato's mind world peace was through world domination. The bright white flames reflected off his glasses as he looked inside himself for some kind of joy or relief, anything. Strangely, I don't feel anything, he thought to himself. Maybe he was too emotionally foregone that the number of bodies on his title and the amount of blood in his hand was foregoing his consciousness. Or maybe, now that the plant man is dead, he completely disconnected himself from Konan and Nagato and the hidden rain. Raza came to his side as he glanced towards the white flames before turning to his old friend. Something wrong? Naruto was silent for a short moment. He smiled though. I was just thinking about lunch. Time skip. 55 minutes later, the Earth Country flatlands. Move forward! A hidden stone. Commander yelled when his ninjas had passed over the traps that were set by the enemy forces. As they rushed towards their opponent on the other side, the Waterfall Konoha Alliance, who rushed back over to their enemies, that was the Hidden Stone Ninjas. Leading the charge was a tall, red-haired man with a long black mustache, with the Hidden Stone headband with 4 horns jutting out of each corner, dark brown sleeve shirt with a jacket over it, and the vest in the center, and black shinobi pants with black boots. In his hand he had a rather large white hammer that was spewing out steam. The man turned and rammed his head right into the first Kunoichi, his horn headband throwing her. He spun and slammed his foot, caving in another shinobi chest. Steam blasted from the man's pores as he swung and crushed the Konoha ninjas with his massive war hammer. The holder of the 5-tailed horse breathed out steam from his nose as he spun. He took off a Konoha shinobi's head with his elbow. The man's strength came from boil ninjutsu, which in turn came from the gobi. As he knocked away a hail of kunais, but 2 of them hit right in his chest. He spun his hammer and slammed it, steam pouring out of it. Get back, the squadron leader of the Waterfall Shinobi said. A few of them got captured inside of it though. Their skin turned red and blistered. Their eyes popped, their eardrum exploded, pouring out blood from his ears and eyes. The Waterfall commander flashed through hand signs. Water style. Water encampment wall, he said, as he spewed water out of his mouth, covering him and a handful of his subordinates. The lower ranks rushed through hand signs and did the same thing as the wall of water got longer and larger. The white steam clashed against it, and the ninjas kept their hand sign firm, struggling as they grit their teeth. They could hear the stampede of the stone ninjas coming from the other side of the water formation. The Konoha squadron commander looked over his own section. Water users, clear a path! The 2 water users from the leaf rushed forward as they jump, using the back off. The water ninjas from the waterfall country, they flip over as they went through hand sign. Water release, water absorption dragon. Several deep blue dragon came from their mouths and crashed. Wind users then came next. Wind release, great wind breakthrough. The steam was completely gone and several stone ninjas were sent sailing. The Gobi Jinjoki was in the midst of battle as he swung his massive hammer. Several ninjas were taken down as it cracked their skulls. He grabbed the Kunoichi by the face as she dragged her hand towards his neck, but he grabbed it and broke it before dropping her head right on his knee. Suddenly he felt something hit him in the neck. He stepped back, looking behind him, but there was no one there. As he felt his throat, like something hot and painful, run down his throat as he didn't understand what was going on. His eyes turned red as he coughed. As his eyes bulged out of their socket, pain coursing through his veins. He looked around and noticed his side of the battle was being pushed back. He rubbed his throat before backhanding away a ninja who couldn't identify. The person came close to him as he spun and cracked their spine. The foreign chakra ran into his system as he sent his own chakra to burn it out. His eyes blurred as he brought up his hammer and blocked a Tanto. He crushed the man's arm, but the hammer dropped from his arm. He was too weak to hold it anymore. He ducked as he grabbed the person's feet and bent it, smashing their body into the ground before stomping on their head. What's happening, horse? The horse-tailed beast inside the seal shifted. Your blood has been infected. He brought his hand up to his neck. Blood. The sounds, everything around him meshed together, the colors. He could barely see. On instinct alone, he caught the hand come towards his face as he broke it. Before moving forward, he grabbed the person's head and twisted it. How is that even possible? When did this happen? He had total control of the beast inside of him. His metabolism was strong enough to expel any toxin, but something that directly entered his blood. That was terrifying, never happened before. Burn it out, he said. The beast lowered its head. Don't feel like it. The tail beast had no loyalty to the hidden stone anyway. Why should it bother helping the village that was keeping it away from his freedom? His knees slammed onto the ground as his body flopped down as well. Somewhere in the back of his mind, he heard his stone counterpart yell, "Fall back! Fall back!" Someone ran up to him and picked him up. As the golden sand that was impersonating a stone ninja came back, right to Raza, as Sawaki had gave it some of her blood. Right on the impersonator's finger, she commanded as he did not move, despite him running. And the Gobi Jinjulke had not seen the attack coming, especially not from his own comrades or behind him. With a nerve strike to the neck, the clone had placed the vampire bloodline into the Gobi's bloodline. Raza looked towards Sawaki. Her eyes were focused on the battlefield. Her eyes were shrink down, very small. Her expression gave nothing away, and her half mask gave her a dangerous, really dangerous look. Her white hair moved with the wind as she kept track of the Jinjulke that she infected with her blood. "The Five Tails isn't fighting," she said, her voice low. "That's good, isn't it?" said Naruto. The three of them were the only ones on the hill, as the others had sneaked into the hidden stone camp. Naruto had a bento box in one hand and a chopstick in one hand. It means it will take longer for my blood to be burned out of his system. Just about 20 minutes, as it was better if she killed the Jinjulke. Because if she did, she would have a Jinjulke as her zombie, with a bitch sealed inside of him. In the second Shinobi War, she had infected the 4th tail holder and the 7th tail holder, and she was only 15 then, and it was in that war that she got her moniker, Blood, the Vampire Empress, an army of iron ninja samurais that came into the country. Sawaki came down on them like a hungry beast as she bit into their necks, drinking their blood, infecting them, as those others infected others, and spread. All of them became her zombie. Mifune quickly accepted defeat, as he didn't want his whole country to become zombies, as he had called back his forces. The pride of Mifune was struck that day hard, but he swore to leave the hidden ring alone. But this didn't stop Sawaki from ordering her zombies to kill themselves. Her feet had hurt her. A pat on her head from her beloved teacher. She blushed a bit under her mask. His praise was above everything else. Naruto was happy. Naruto loved her. "Yes, your seal masters will loosen seal, and I'll take him into the village." She paused. "What's wrong?" said Naruto. "The beast. It wants to talk to me." They looked towards Raza. "Fine, you have 5 minutes," he said. Inside of the Jinjulke mindscape, as a 5-tail dolphin horse watched, as a red chakra rushed inside and formed a pale-skinned lady with white hair. As he looked at her, the dark symbol on her back. The general era was a tall plateau, a cage, iron cage with a beast inside. There was no sun, but light was coming from somewhere. After all, the place would be extremely dark if not. Sawaki marched up to the cage. The beast looked on, interested. She stopped as the horse beast got up and looked down at her. "I never would have thought I would meet the infamous Blood. The one to command 400 non-humans," it said. Its sharpened teeth glinted in the light. Once Sawaki infected a person, they lost their status of being humans. They became zombies. "It is now clear to me why Asara lost your blood infection." "You know who I am," Sawaki said. "This one." The 5-tailed dolphin horse said, referring to his Jinjulke. "Hold a grudge against many shinobis. I merely read his emotions and pick out useful parts." "Is there a reason why you call me?" Yes. "I take it you wish to destroy the hidden stone." "Not so much as destroy, but cripple. And you also plan to do so by releasing me in the very center of the village, correct?" "Yes, that is correct." Once the horse was released, the boiling steam would roast many people. Any kind of movement from the beast would shake off more and more chakra, like a beast shedding skin. This would only not happen if a tail beast suppressed their entire being, and they didn't like to do that because it was uncomfortable. "I do not care or wish to know the reason why you wish to cripple the hidden stone, but I have a deal that I want to make with you. Do you have a way for me to speak to your master?" Sawaki narrowed her eyes. "You will have to make do with me. I do not mean to offend, vampire. What is this deal that you want? When I am released and I cripple the hidden stone, I will lend darkness, my strength and my chakra. But in exchange, I want to live in the dark forest. Why? Sawaki said. I believe this has never been written in history book before. But my siblings and I, we were born in a place known as Dark Country. That shocks Sawaki. The darkness that cover your country is residue from when we were separated from the Ten Tails. The Ten Tails? Said Sawaki. The Gobi laughed. Ah yes. That too was never recorded, was it? Suppose if I believe you that you and the other beasts were born in my country, why do you want to return? I was sold by Hoshirama to the hidden stone a long time ago to maintain peace on the continent. And I've been passed down from another cage to another. I want freedom, vampire. Dark Country is my home too. Our home. I suspect that my siblings also wish to return to our place of birth. I only want to live in peace outside of a cage. I don't care if it's in dark forest. All I want is somewhere free. I won't take up much space and I don't require constant feeding. Once or 2 weeks should be enough. Sawaki glanced at giant monster. You're not lying, I can tell. I just want to go home, vampire. Well, at least this was better than just showing up uninvited. And it was also offering its service to Dark Country. I do not want to harm anyone. We are family, don't you think? The darkness is the release of my siblings and I from a tail. And you humans have made your home there. Even though I want darkness all to myself, I cannot bring myself to kick you people out. The tail beast was really polite. That was something that she, never took in account into, but it was really polite. The only person that spoke to them for a long period of time was Hoshirama, and he never spoke about their, attitude. People always thought that the beasts had no personalities, but as Sawaki was seeing for herself, Sawaki was a really good judge of character, and as she could see from this beast, it was not lying. Alright, I will try and convince Naruto-sensei to bring you in. You have my thanks, vampire. Sawaki. You can call me Sawaki. The beast smiled. Then you may call me Kokyu. Back to reality. No person in history has ever been told a tail beast's name by the tail beast. Sawaki knows this as well, as she told Naruto and Raza. We can find somewhere in the forest for it to live in. I'm not sure if it will fit though, said Naruto, as the BLAK HQ was still in the forest, and there was many species of animal live in the forest. He sounded like he knew this. Maybe he knew what to do, said Sawaki. We're taking a big chance with this, Sue, said Naruto. I can vouch for him, she said. As Naruto blue eyes fixed on her red eyes, there was no doubt in her eyes. He rubbed his face with his hand. Well, their senses have never failed us. Besides, the Gobi could tell us about history, said Naruto. I will take full responsibility of anything that happens during his day. Let's hope nothing bad happens. Sawaki bowed deeply to her teacher. This won't mess up the plan, Raza. Don't worry, said Naruto. I am not worried. The hidden stones still get attacked whether or not the five tail go to darkness. A short while later, the hidden stone, the Gobi galloped through the panicking village, spreading its hot steam. People screaming agony and wailing torture as stone shinobis spurted and run around, unable to get close to the beast. Oniki fired off a blast of dust release. It crashed into the beast's muzzle as in retaliation, the Gobi here frizzled out. The people saw it coming, but they could not find the speed to flee it. A tsunami of steam spread out from the monster, blanketing half of the village in steam heat. The beast chakra inside tearing their bodies blister as they cried out in pain. Those who moved too quickly, as the blister bursts and the beast chakra invaded their system, it tore their body from the inside as they coughed up blood as it hit a certain part of their brain. Oniki ignored the blisters on his left arm. A tail beast suppression seal burned on his palm. Buildings crumbled. Shinobis, people trying to block. Innocent people died. Their faces did twist in various stages of torment and agony. Hundreds of thousands of people died from the beast's attack. Half of the hidden stone was cordoned off because of fraction of the beast chakra, and the steam was still in the area. Some days later, the Tenshinkai called back all of his forces back to the hidden stone. The Great War had stumbled because of the mighty hidden stone that was sent out all their ninja. They were crippled. Time skip. Northern of the Dark Country capital. A pure white horse was on his back knees as he was named to the heavens. Its eyes danced with mirth as it looked around. The steam was harmless as it was on the grass that he stepped on. Naruto, standing with his wife and Amara there as well. Watch, the beast ran around the grass field. It was much smaller than when it first stepped into the country. Does it choose who get harmed and who doesn't get harmed by its chakra? Amara wondered. I think this has to do with it giving the Dark Forest most of its chakra. Truthfully, when it was placed in the Dark Forest, the forest seemed to welcome it. Its chakra never left the forest, as the steam was brought into the trees or the earth. Kokyu had followed his instinct and poured its chakra into the biggest tree, as its size was reduced from a mountain to a hill. The forest accepted his chakra without folding, as he stored his chakra inside the tree. When he needed, he can just take a trip to the tree. As Naruto was a bit, cautious, just by nature, it was strange to have a tailed beast who, would even tell them about history. As Kokyu enjoyed the peace and quiet, the boil release would be a great counterpart for the Kamori clan, smoke release, as each ability stemmed from water and fire chakra. Still, he was going to introduce the horse beast to Kushina and gauge her reaction. Uncle Ruto! The three of them turned around to the bright, sharper voice. She ran up to her uncle with a flush on her cheek, smiling ear to ear. You call? She said. Moments later, as Kushina hold on to her hand, as she draw a skill into his palm. As she draws 3 circles that connect to 3 smaller circles. She exhaled, she released his hand, as she wiped her sweaty forehead. As Naruto raised his hand, the 10-foot dolphin horse kneeled down and released steam onto his hand. The very same seal that was on Kokyu's chest glow a soft black and white as the steam dispersed on Naruto's hand, as it was now shimmered with the tail beast chakra. The summoning contract had been formed and the seals were linked together. Amara peeked around him as she looked at the seal, see if it was perfectly drawn. As she gave a thumbs up to Kushina, the agreement between the Gobe and the Dark Leader was that they could summon each other, yes, for dire situations. The seal was a show of trust between them. He looked towards Kushina. Are you sure you don't want getting on this? As he looked back to Kokyu, who bobbed his head. And he doesn't have a problem with you joining, neither do I. I don't think I'm physically ready to join this, she said. People never really talk about Naruto's power level, as they declare him as legendary class that was beyond double S level. Suaki was the most powerful, she was at the top, as she was the most powerful Kunoichi. Under her was the clan heads, and the Jonin's commander going down. But Naruto, his power level just couldn't be rank. Plain and simple. Kokyu looked towards Naruto as he wondered why the people couldn't rank him. Why don't you try the seal? The vampire asked. Go ahead. Kokyu bent his head as the seal in his chest glowed, black and white. Poof. As Naruto was gone, as he appeared right in the beast's back, who rose up as Naruto grabbed onto his horn so he wouldn't fall. As he was sitting on top of him, his cloak blowing back as Kokyu blew steam from his nose. Kushina blinked. Cool, she whispered, as the 2 girls beside her nodded as well. Suaki's hand came forward and closed Kushina's mouth. As Naruto laughed, a slight smirk lingered in the corner of his eye. Meanwhile, at the glass center in the hidden grass, Toby looked down with disdain, his orange mask giving away nothing, his face hidden. A head of red hair popped out of the center, making its way up. It seems Zetsu is gone for good, Madara, said Sorcery. There's nothing down there Lord Pain can use to resurrect him. You don't say. The Uchiha drawled in a sarcastic tone. Sorcery show off nothing, his puppet face simply giving off a steady, calm look. I figured he would do something this dumb. Sorcery re-entered his Hiroko body as he sent out his threats, attaching to the puppet. Lord Pain had warned him, said Sorcery. He did, Toby said. Our orders was to stay specifically away from the ghosts. We can do anything to Dark Country, but as long as we stay away from the ghosts. I know. You think someone as dim as Hidan would be the one to disobey Lord Pain order? Yes. I've always wondered, is it because Lord Pain has history with the ghosts? Is that the reason why you want us to leave him alone? The ghosts. I don't think he's even human. Oh, he's human. We could feel this fight, if you could call it that, all the way from the Hidden Rain. Take this from someone that has faced and beaten Sabukuno Tetsuyu. The person that did this as emotion all around him is definitely not human. Toby stood up fully. Naruto has yet to face a Uchiha. Whatever you want to say. Besides, if Naruto is not human, then Nagato is truly a god. Sasori did not know if this was an insult or what to their leader, so he did not comment on that. Darkness now has a Gobe retrieving it will be a lot harder. Toby didn't want to, but he had to agree. This made the retrieval a lot more difficult. The many seals that cover the entire continent, not to mention the darkness. He couldn't enter the village. He could just teleport into the country though, but the seals would tag him immediately. It will detect his chakra and very well incapacitate him, leaving him a sitting duck. This was the same problem that Zetsu had. Anyone that didn't have the proper authorization to enter the country, they were captured. No one knew what was going on inside. The only thing that the Akatsuki knew about darkness and that everyone else knew was that it was a wild country. The only other people knew a bit more was darkness allies. Other than that, people didn't know anything about the country. To be a wild country, non-allies, everyone had to admire the strength of the country. And for people to do that without knowing anything about them, that was a frightening thought. His only hope was to find someone that specialized in flying. Aside from pain, because the man wasn't keen on leaving the hidden rain at any time soon. That was the only hope of getting the Gobi and the Kyubi. This person would pinpoint where the two targets were, for Toby to go in and grab them before his chakra was tagged completely. Another thing to do was recruiting missing in some dark country, but there was none. Were things really that good for no one to turn against the country? Was life in darkness so satisfied and nice that no one wanted to leave? Was it even possible? So they had to look for a ninja who can fly. They currently had their eyes on a recently missing name from the explosion core from the Hidden Stone, and know that the Hidden Stone had excluded themselves from the war after the Gobi attack. The Great Ninja War was losing steam fast, as the nations couldn't remember why the hell they were fighting in the first place. The purpose of the war was gone. The conflict, it was draining down, really dimming. As the country doing the actual fighting weren't sure of their position anymore after all. Kiri, the San, Uzu, they weren't fighting. River wasn't fighting, and Dark Alliance wasn't fighting. So it was bad for the other country that were fighting. They didn't see the reason anymore. Senseless death. There were talks of Konoha wanting to call a 5 Great Summit meeting, even with the two nations that weren't warring, so that they could sign a pact of neutrality, so that they wouldn't continue this conflict. And there was speculation of the 4 world countries also meeting together as well. Snow, Iron, in Chill and Darkness, the 4 world nations had a lot of influence in the continent, not because of the others and their reason, but because of their wealth, the strength of their shinobi and their network, and the trade alliance they had with other countries and villages. It was annoying Toby to no end. How much Naruto interfered with his plan, it burned him. Whether Zetsu is alive or dead, the wheels of change has long since been turning, Toby said to himself, not even bothering his idiot facade, because Sasori knew the real him. Naruto, you will slip off eventually, Toby thought to himself. He must. Time skip. 5 months later, Konoha, a hero welcome was going on at the village. To welcome the man and woman that has fought night and day at the advanced guard at the Hidden Chill. Maybe the fort where they had fought wasn't so forgotten. Confettis were being fired off. People were cheering at the group that fought with their life to save and quell this war against their nation. Jichou, Nara, kept a stern face as the people patted their back. Him and his man behind him. The people showered their appreciation on them. Just a bit more time and they would have infiltrated Chill. Minato was in the middle, in that same grey and white camo clothes. His eyes on the ground, his left hand grabbed the strap of his backpack, and his right hand on his duffel bag. His knuckles tightened as the people patted his back and cheered them on. It was almost like they didn't even recognize him as a ghost boy anymore. They now only saw a hero, the Yellow Flash, the one that eradicated a wave of Kumo shinobis while his comrades got to safety. But Minato wasn't deceived, not even one bit. His ears twitched as he heard his name. Minato! He looked up, searching for the person. Hey Minato! Over here! A brown-haired woman about his age waving to him. Hey, she said. Tasume. Hey, he said. Eyes on the prize, Namikaze, Jichou said. First we reported Hokage. After that, you can do whatever you want. Minato nodded. Later, Tasume said. He nodded. Later. He wasn't so sure why she was so happy to see him. He hardly knew her. During his academy, he barely spoke in 5 words to her. Yet he saw real happiness in her eyes. And she was the only one that came to see him. He shook his head. The war was ended. They could be busy rounding up Konoha ninjas outside the village. Some minutes later, as Minato chugged down the grass wine and placed it back down. 3 jugs later and he wasn't even buzzed. Sitting on the stool next to him, Tatsumi Nozaka, Jonin of Konoha, and partner to the absent Koromaru, the war veteran. That bad, huh? That bad, he said. She saw he slid his bag and his duffel bag at his feet. Are you sure this is the first thing you want to do? As he looked at her, she raised her hand in surrender. Fine, man. I would join myself inside too if I saw all the shit that you've seen. Just take it easy. The steak's not going anywhere. Yeah, it is. Down my throat, he said. She laughed. A good one, she said. Where is the rest, Tatsumi? He asked. What? I'm not good enough, dude? She rolled her eyes playfully. I was just joking. A lot of things has changed, Minato. Like what? He asked. Well, for starters, Higurashi quit being a ninja and opened a weapons store. Yoshino finally got Shikaku to marry her. She snickered. As Minato rolled his eyes. I know, right, she said. We all saw it coming. As she continued, Hayashi got married some time ago to some Hyuga princess. They're on a honeymoon in Waterfall now. She got one Yoshino too, for that matter. She tapped her chin. Seems everyone's getting married these days. Next best thing, I guess, he said. Huh, it really is. You're not getting married, he asked. She raised her eyebrow. His eyes went down to her hands looking for a ring. Are you already... Nah. Unlike what you all think, I'm not the long-term commitment gal, she said. Like you have to tell me, he said. Listen, smartass, I got shit to do today. But I put that aside because I wanted to see you and ease you back into society. How nice of you, he said, his voice filled with sarcasm. She clenched her fist before she took a breath. Chill was bad, Minato. I can see that all over your face. The Hokage not paying you for months must have made it worse. I wanted to know, even if they're not here. I'll be here for you, she said. He looked at her. The war also took a lot from her as he saw the look in her eyes. I'm sorry, Tatsumi. I was being stupid, he said. He didn't know what happened to her in the war, but she has grown a lot and changed a lot. As he saw a look flash across her face. I'm really sorry, Tatsumi. Don't worry about it, she said. How about I help you back to your place? Help you unpack and we get some lunch. My place was torn down. Kumo, they said. I don't even know. I don't even care anymore. Damn, she said. Well, how about you stay at my place for the time being? Until you get back on your feet, that is. I can't do that to you. I don't want to be a bother, he said. As the blonde was dirt poor, unpaid for more than 10 months now, and his apartment was no longer there, as he was basically homeless. And Tatsumi, who he had barely spoken to, had become one of his only friends right here. Not even finding urge to get his answers fully answered, he was falling deeper and deeper into depression. And he could still remember, as he looked at his steak, his first real drink in months, and it was making him feel goddamn worse. No, it's fine. Think of this as a favor, said Tatsumi, as she helped him off the stool. As she grabbed him, placed her arm over his shoulder, and picked up his duffel bag. Come on, my place isn't too far from here. Thanks. Hey, what happened to Mikato? Married Fukaku, she said, vacationing in a sand beach resort. As she was holding on to him, she never saw his heart just completely shattered. But guys, be in subs right here. If you want to see sports to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn that bell notifications to stay posted. But I'm off for now. See you guys soon over in Making 3. Peace.